always admire people who come up with a creative way to get things done. Carol Havens is one such creative person, and she's with us today to tell us the story behind her very clever binder and what inspired her to design it. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
Let's talk a little bit about your career path that has led you to create this binder.
Well, I'm a nurse by background, and I've had a lot of work in the health advocacy business, and then also I served as an adult guardian, and I've worked in pastoral care. And fortunately or unfortunately, I've been a power of attorney for quite a few different people who have at the end of life and helped close their estates and such.
And when we get to that, then, and that's the piece I want to talk about, is closing the estates. What did you see that needed to be done? What was the lacking in the market?
Well, first of all, what was lacking the most apparent was that people were not prepared. They didn't have records together. They didn't have information to share with their loved ones oftentimes or with their executors. And so I went on a search to see what I could find that was already printed, no sense in reinventing the wheel. And I couldn't find anything that I felt was easy for folks to use. So what I ended up writing was a pretty simple fill-in-the-blank process. So there's like 19 categories in my book that addresses pretty much anything somebody would need to know to either take care of someone in a medical crisis, take care of their everyday life, or if a death has occurred, to be able to walk through their estate and close their estate.
And your binder, your book is called When the Time Comes. Where can we get our hands on it?
Well, the book, I'm fortunate to have 4 local shops in the Evansville area. It can be arranged on the east side, Tracy's Home Accessories on the west side, American Honey Market in Darmstadt, and the Brick House Boutique up in Fort Branch. They're all local shops, and they are all carrying my book at this time.
What kind of comments and reactions are you getting as people are beginning to use this material?
It's been overwhelming, the feedback that I've been getting of people talking about how much time it has saved and how they wish they would have had this when their parents had passed or another loved one. That, you know, it really can take weeks is probably a short amount of time, but months upon months to be able to close an estate for a person. Just searching through the boxes, the files. Literally, I found things in the bottom of a closet or under a bed that was pertinent to being able to close their estate. So if this isn't written down, people have to come in and do all the searching to try to find it. And stacks of paper, you can't just throw a piece of paper away. You have to go through all these stacks to find the information for folks.
Well, you said in the book there are like 19 categories. Can you name a few of them for us?
Yes, there covers areas, just some basic biographical information. If someone is a veteran, it covers to where they can put all their veteran information, their military information in. There's banking and investments, insurance, legal, accounting, real estate, Social Security, a place to list all your credit cards, digital assets, which is a really big point nowadays, home and vehicle information, medical history. There's a section for an end-of-life questionnaire that goes well beyond what your living will would go into. And then there's also a section that's called When Death Occurs, and it's how to start the process. If a death has occurred, what steps do I need to take?
Carol, I could talk to you forever about this. This is so interesting to me. Thank you so much for being on Lifestyles to share your story.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with more Lifestyles after this.